They've changed
Verbal?
they've changed to the new format, so
Oh, there you go. Nice.
It's just fun.
Do they still approve them?
I move to approve the minutes.
I second.
Second that. Because nobody's going to want to listen to all of that.
We'll click there.
Click it again. See if it. No. Anyone opposed?
No.
And then we just have, just elect the new 2020 chair and vice chair. We don't have a city council representative yet. Mark Seastrand was our council liaison, but he didn't choose to run again, so they had his kind of retirement from the council, and the mayor is supposed to be making assignments this coming Saturday. The council has a retreat, so he was going to hand them out there. So I don't know who our new liaison is.
Okay.
Do you feel like we can elect new chair and vice chair today?
Well, who hasn't done it yet?
I guess I haven't.
Yeah. You haven't, and have
I've
you?
been
the vice chair, I believe.
I nominate Suzanne to be chair.
I second that
I'm
nomination.
terrible. I honestly can't remember if I was the chair or vice chair. Oh, I think I was the vice chair.
Then you need to do it again.
I know,
now.
right? Horrible.
Does that make Mary the chair, the vice chair?
Yeah, and I
Yes.
nominate Mary to be the vice chair.
And I second.
Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So quick updates is really all that I have for you guys today. So we are upgrading the print station out there, and we originally went with a company called iTeam. They were kind of a difficult vendor, and we are now upgrading to Envisionware, which you'll see in other libraries probably more frequently than iTeam. And so it is not only the scan print station, but it is going to be our print management station down in our internet area, so you can pay to send items to print. The switchover is moving along. We've had to restrict computer access this week, which we hate to do, but we did try to really advertise it ahead of time, and we do think it'll be better customer service. Down the road, we did purchase a document feeder, and there's a lot of use by the print station, because you may do the vast majority of your personal business or home business through your phone, but then if you do have to print, where do you go? So it's a really good resource for people. There's a few that miss the old days of the copier because it was more intuitive for them to use, having used a copier for years before, but it can certainly do all those things. It just takes a little bit of maybe assistance from staff or something like that, but a lot of people don't even need the print. They need the scan, or access the email and print is another part. So that's moving ahead. We are scheduled to have it completed probably by the end of the week. We worked through the SIP issues with Cersei today and got good assistance there. So IT is spearheading the project, and then reference staff will be trained on the project, and it should wrap up this week. We're going into budget season. We're trying to be pretty judicious about our budget requests, given that we have a big facility that's coming online with a lot of budget attached to it. We do need a new copier in admin. Ours is showing a lot of signs of end of life and needs a lot of service, so we'll probably request to either buy a new copier outright, or at least put some money aside for a new copier, probably just buy it outright. And then there'll be some budget for items in the hall. Some of it did come out of care funds last year, so we'll have a mix of care funds for a cultural arts facility, things that supported the hall, like for the audiovisual equipment and some other specialized equipment to support the hall came out of care, and then some things that will support like the office staff and things will come out of the city budget, things like that. The hall's coming along great. It's been a very, very active site this week. They've had cranes coming in with the roofing material, and then they have been laying out the grid for the last of the concrete pour of the floors. We added the rebar grid after the fact. It was a little bit of a change order, additional expense to kind of help control the cracking. Concrete will absolutely crack. And it will be a bummer when it does, but it will do that. So we kind of just need to anticipate that and make our peace with it. But having the rebar grid underneath it will stop the cracking, limit it to certain areas, and hopefully keep from grade separating in the crack. So it's a really active site this week, but it's coming along great, and they're well aware of storm issues coming in, and they're trying to work around it. And the outside walls, you can see those. So that's the outside edge of the building. Before we've had interior walls, but now you have the exterior walls. Those long column areas in the front will be flanked. They will be flanking windows. So that's kind of gives you the really good size, shape, scope. The auditorium is both big and small. Now that they've put the roof on, it shows you the good size volume of the space. The chair area has 501 seats, and it looks so small for 501 chairs, but that's just the way it
Just out of
is.
curiosity, what was attendance like for Cinderella on Monday?
I'd have to look it up, but the Sarah is always one of the bigger ones. Definitely 300 plus every year. Cantorum was huge.
Standing room only.
Yeah, always standing room only. On Roguery Do was really big. I mean, there's a lot of the holiday concerts that are really big, but Sarah's Acting Up group is huge every year. It's really a popular program. Is it Chemistry Magic Show or just Magic Show coming up? Great Scott Magic Show.
Great Scott Magic Shows on
That's always a really popular one for families. I mean, there's a lot coming up that's going to be good size and popular. I just wanted to briefly touch on e-materials since it is so, it weighs heavily on our levels of service. So we've kind of alluded to it before that the Utah State Library wanted to have opportunities to do different activities with their funding. So they announced that they would no longer be kind of carrying the bulk of e-material purchases through the consortium that we all participate in, except like Salt Lake County is in its own, Salt Lake Public Library is in its own, Davis County, I believe, is in its own. So anyways, there are some that are in separate consortiums or their own, personal contract. Not personal, but individual contract. The challenge of it is that if you withdraw that much money out of an ongoing purchasing model, it's really going to impact the service levels. In the library directors meeting and lots of negotiation meetings, they have kind of apportioned out your new consortium share, and they're expecting everyone to participate to a certain level. Obviously, small libraries are participating just a little bit, and the state library had set aside a little bit of money to work with them if they absolutely couldn't do it, because there are some that really, they have no collection budget whatsoever. It's horrible. So it was based on 2018 CERC numbers, because that's kind of the audited number at this point. So our collection expenditures in 2018, they have listed as $312,000, and the overdrive circulation was just over 233,000 CERCs out of Orem. So they decided on a cap, 20%. So we were capped, and our 2020 contribution is $51,835. Now that is not as much as we spent or intend to spend on e-materials. We spent $85. We've been trying to slowly creep it over the years, heading towards 100,000, which would literally be close to a third of our collection to budget overall. So it's painful but necessary to do it. So we chose for option 2, which 50% of our contribution will be paid to the consortium account, and the state will use it for selecting and purchasing content for the shared collection. And they will focus on metered access titles. So it expires after X number of times, and that's how you go. And then the other 50% will be paid to our account with the vendor, and we will make the selection, and we will focus on one copy, one use, and metered by time titles together. Additionally, we will put in above and beyond that $50,000. That was certainly the crux of the discussion. I think they really could kind of feel how much unrest there was in all levels of the library. So they brought in Jean from Provo Library, who's very wise. And it was just kind of like, he's here to straighten us all out. Not in a like overbearing way, but just in look, we all got to do this. We're better together. Charlene will spend more. I will spend more. If you can't spend more, you can't spend more. It just kind of was the calming wisdom. But it's not awesome because we are going to see a massive drop in availability because you just can't pump as much money into it as you want. The state library's contribution to the whole thing is they'll pay the annual maintenance and platform fee to Overdrive. They'll purchase 75 simultaneous use magazine subscriptions that are always available. They agree to purchase 6 simultaneous use yearly audiobook subscriptions. Each subscription contains 25 always available titles. They agree to dedicate $50,000 toward content for the shared consortium collection. They agree to cover the contribution of any library with an annual collection expenditure amount of $20,000 less, or of less than $25,000 if it's needed. They're going to act as the system administrator. They're going to provide training. They're going to advise committees and create committees. They're going to make MARC records available. They're going to send weekly weed lists to member libraries, which is different. We've always wanted the information to be put on the catalog, but it's never been put on the catalog because the pushback was, well, if you put it on a catalog, the smaller libraries don't have any staff to weed it off, so it'll just be sitting out there forever. But that, punishes us to have the ability to maintain a catalog a little more specifically, so that's something that people have wanted. So there's that. One of the challenges is that we're now in the Macmillan boycott, so they're not buying from Macmillan right now, so that takes us down yet another area of lack of new releases and other things that people are going to want. We have been talking this week. Janet Lowe is the librarian that buys most of the E, and she's been talking to the RB Digital folks. Right now, Orem has Overdrive and RB Digital. The state's favorite, darling, whatever you call it, is Overdrive. So there's been so much focus on that. RB Digital is a credible resource. It's lesser known. You try and share it with people, suggesting they may have luck finding what they're looking for or something similar on RB Digital. It is a clunkier system, quite honestly. So staff is, not pleased that it's clunky. But they have kind of a counter model that they're pitching to offer a lot more simultaneous use items, 3,400 magazines, all these different things. And so they're going around to try and keep libraries in a consortium to use that. It's compelling. We have used RB Digital for our Zinio magazines for years and years and years. And even though the state has offered to do 75 magazines, it's not going to cover all the ones that we have been offering through the Zinio. So we're looking at how many libraries are interested in kind of staying in a consortium for RB Digital, and then what would the slice of the pie look like? Is it worthwhile to try and split the feed off of Overdrive when we're already at a reduced participation by using RB Digital? KKR is an equity firm that just recently acquired both Overdrive and RB Digital. So will they keep them as separate entities for kind of a number of reasons? Overdrive was very profitable. That's why it got picked up that way. Obviously, it's just a really kind of odd time for e-materials. It has not gotten better over the last several years. It took a radical turn of too expensive. I mean, the titles are very expensive to buy. The restriction on the use, the publisher's restrictions, many publishers have restrictions. We are trying to do the best we can to continue to serve the patrons, but it's going to be a noticeable decrease in service.
Have there been complaints yet, or?
I'm sure there have for the reference staff. I mean, it's starting now because the county libraries work on a January schedule, so they're already going to be seeing kind of the fallout, and it's good. It's great to have the resource. It's very challenging to try and provide it on an immediacy. You know, I want that book right now. So hold lists are going to be very long. We've lost some control. We don't like that. And they're really, we recently went to the city and asked for an increase in the collection budget. We got $30,000 a couple of years ago, and we appreciated that. I mean, you could try and ask for more, but at this point, honestly, it still will not solve the problem. So we'll just continue to do the best we can, try and have staff offer more availability in terms of physical copies where we can, recognizing that the e and the e-audiobook copies may not be available for a long time, if ever, depending on the boycotts and things like that. So it's a moving target. It's disappointing. Nobody likes to take resources away from patrons ever. We were kind of looking at maybe repurposing our Zinio money towards additional e or Canopy, but Canopy is incredibly expensive as well. There is some streaming on RB Digital, so it's kind of one of those cases of how far can we spread our resources, and some of it's about communicating why we have to spread it so thin, but it's not great.
And that was going to be my question, is because as a patron, what I would like to know is up front what you're dealing with, and then I can be sympathetic to the situation rather than being upset. So I'm wondering, is there some place on the card catalog where you can essentially tell people this, that you're dealing with forces beyond your control and you're trying to do this the best you can?
I don't know if we can do it as much on the catalog. If there's an app pop-up, I mean, certainly we can try and do some.
You could have put a message on Enterprise, and a lot of libraries do it, like when there's a branch closure or power outage or something, they'll put up a message, but kind of a little
Well,
more.
do patrons see that? I mean,
Yeah, like when I click on the website, that's the first thing I see, and you can have like a banner headline there.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I think you have to get ahead of it rather than dealing with it after you've got people upset, and just let them know that this is not your fault. It's just, and you're dealing with a really intractable situation. I know there was something in the New York, we get the Sunday Times. There was something in the New York Times a few weeks ago. Somebody was railing at Macmillan about the problems, and I mean, you could even do a link to that showing some of the problems that you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think that the catalog idea is a really good one. We need to do some more education in our social media and print things. One of the challenges, as soon as you know the Overdrive or the RB Digital system, you just go through the app. So you don't necessarily look in the catalog, but they may in fact look in the catalog. The hold lists have always been a point of contention with, some folks, because they're like, do you not see, how long the hold list is? And you're like, yes, but that's $100 item and it expires, in this length of time or after this many uses. So we're doing our best, but it's kind of, we're not even feeling like we're keeping our head above water as it was. So it's just going to be something that we're all going to have to continue to look at. you know, it's less than perfect, but if you can use the system, put a lot of things on hold that might be interesting to you. I've always done that, and then I've always had things in the queue. And I think that's the way that people are going to use it with the most satisfaction, because if you just go looking for the most current bestseller, you're going to find yourself on a 1.5 year list for Where the Crawdad Sings or whatever it is. But you might want to just come to the library and pick that up.
A suggestion is you can, a free enhancement in Enterprise is a Furberish, which what it would do is if you say Where the Crawdad Sings, it brings up, instead of 5 different, well, we have it on DVD or we have it recorded books, we have it here. It brings up one title, and then under it has the different formats that it is and the availability. So that way, if I'm, looking up, I'll say Harry Potter, the worst example ever, I can see all my options, and I'll be able to say, oh, the e-audio book is unavailable, but there are other venues, other material types that would make that. And you could have Josh just go out to the Circe Dynamics website and click, we want Furberish added. If you want to take a look at what it looks like, you could go to the state of Hawaii. They just implemented that. But it would at least direct them that, yeah, we don't have it in e-audio or e-book, but we have it in physical formats.
That kind of brings me to my next update. So we have some key staff positions that are open right now. Christy Nettle has been an associate librarian who's over all the paging and shelving. She's been over our volunteer program, and then she's kind of rounded out her schedule with a bit of a reference shift. Now, because reference and technical services, which is the other parts of her responsibilities, are in 2 different divisions, we're kind of going to clean up those edges. She's going to be more of the back of house technical services, paging, shelving. We do volunteers. We call it stacks management, where it's like the shelf reading, shifts and weeds, and then inventory. All those kinds of things would kind of fall under her responsibility. But she's retiring. So we've advertised for that, and we have some applicants that we're going to interview over the course of the next couple of weeks. Feel pretty positive about being able to secure someone on board in a relatively good amount of time. Josh Sorensen, division manager for technical services, unfortunately, he's always struggled with some back issues, and then everything came to a really bad point in August, and we have not seen him in work capacity since August 14th. And so he was working on healing. He had a big surgery. He had to have a revision of that surgery, just lots of challenges. And we started talking about his return. And in the end, the best option for him to continue to heal was to take long-term disability. So Josh has essentially left the city. So if you take long-term disability, you terminate your employment, and then he gets a percentage of his wage as part of that insurance policy. And so we have opened the position for division manager yesterday. We opened it yesterday.
Yes.
So we had to get through the process of knowing what we were going on with that, and then we held it just 1 extra day because we wanted to close the one position before we open the second, because you get a lot of people applying for the wrong one. And so it will be fairly lengthy recruitment. We're looking about a month to start to see if we can get a pool of qualified applicants in that month. We've tried to advertise it out into the library world. This is definitely one that would benefit from library degree, library experience, a lot of Circe knowledge, understanding, experience. We're kind of going to retool some things about it. I anticipate moving circulation under that position. Our 2 divisions are a little out of balance. Circulation, you can look at it either way, as tech services, back of house support, or you can look at it as a bit of reference, because they certainly do provide that service in both both areas. But we have some RFID improvements to make. There's a lot of coordination between all of the back of house work areas. That CERC is always part of that conversation. So I think it makes sense to move that operation under this new division manager's supervision. And we will try and reach out to some folks when we assemble the interview panel. Marcia is certainly a good one. She volunteers for us in cataloging. She was the Library of Congress cataloger, so she might have some insight. We can reach out to folks and get questions, or we can reach out and have people on the panel with us. So we're just hoping for a good recruitment. So in the meantime, staff has been trying to do what they can. I'll talk to Jamie Bartlett, who's our reference librarian, about the Furberish and see if that's something that she can look at sooner rather than later.
And if I can put on my Cersei Dynex hat, I'd be more than happy to help out as well.
Thank you so much.
So,
It's been a long time. You know, he has a significant collection development assignment. We've been trying to keep up with some standing orders, and everybody's kind of got their eye on new releases. Evelyn, one of our cataloging librarians, is going to focus more heavily on collection development now that we know that Josh isn't coming back, to kind of fill that gap, because you know, we have money to spend and we want to make sure that we're meeting patron needs. And it's just been a bummer of a year, but we hope that he's on the mend and that this allows him to heal more fully, and whenever he feels like he's able and desiring to turn to back to the workplace, we hope he finds something great. And I think it'll be good for his family, because there's not necessarily that much physical rehab that they assign you. I think it's more just heal, don't lift, take it easy, you know, lots of things like that. So that is pretty much what I have in terms of updates. Did you guys have any questions or anything that you would like information on?
I don't.
We're going to combine, it's the 25th year of the Children's Library Wing this year. Woohoo!
Wow.
And we'll probably combine, say, the dignitaries celebration of that with the library hall opening. So it's kind of one shebang for everybody. But we talked yesterday about maybe doing something with the kids right before we clean the carpet. So,
give them all
you know,
grape juice. And
not grape juice, but maybe your
What month are
treat.
you
Your
looking at
treat.
again for that?
I would say probably October, just to be extra safe. Could be as early as, like, say, the first week of September.
Yeah.
But I imagine we will know more. We'll definitely know more after the winter. But
See how much snow there is and all that.
yeah, we just did a historical kind of look back summer reading, so we probably won't do that for the Children's Library celebration. We'll just incorporate elements throughout the year of celebrating and recognizing that it's been 25 great years of having that resource and all the people that have grown up in that time and things like that. But then it's, as far as like invited guests, you know, kind of thing, we'll probably do that once in the early fall, hopefully. Anything else? As always, if there's things you would like to know or that you think about, just shoot us a message and we'll do our best. Everything's fired back up after the holidays, so.
Okay, well, I move to end the meeting, right? Do we do that? We do. I think I would remember this by now.
I second.
Okay.
Thank you so
All right.
much for your time. Hopefully it's not a blizzard as you leave and as you came, but
It's just wet out there.
yeah.
Yeah, it's about 35, so it's not sticking on the roads, which is good.
They say the real storm comes Saturday.
oh, does it?
At the very least, when someone's selected, I could come for a couple days and just, depending on their familiarity.
Yeah,
So.
we'll see where you are when the interviews start to come together, and maybe